Welcome to another tutorial of Profilan YouTube channel. In this particular video, we're going to have a discussion on this paper 2, what to expect to be tested in your paper 2H. So if you're new to Profilan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that in time I'm going to upload further tutorials, you'll be notified. In this particular video, we're going to really cover everything that you must know for you to sit for that particular exam. So something that you need to remember for the Excel IGCSE paper 2 is that this exam is gonna be out of 100 marks, and at the same time you need to be very careful the way you answer your question. Check over the aspect of the significant figures that you are being told. Check on the accuracy you are supposed to give your answers, and make sure that you write down all your steps in the process of working out your questions in order to maximize the marks, because you need to remember that without sufficient working and the correct answers, there will be no marks awarded. And at the same time, marks will be awarded for the correct method. Even if the answer is wrong, then you're going to miss only the marks for the answer. So ensure that you are writing your steps in order to maximize your answers. Now we need to go straight and get to see what is this that is provided for you. In the first page, you'll be provided with a formula sheet, which is going to try to make your life easy. So you can see here we have a set of some of the equations that are going to be very important when you are answering questions in this paper. So don't forget that these are provided, and be very aware of the area of a trapezium is provided, arithmetic sequence formula is given. The one that is not given is nth term of a sequence, so that one you have to know. You are given the quadratic formula, trigonometric formulas are given here: sine rule, cosine rule, and area of a triangle of AB, sine theta or C. Volume of a cone is provided, and the volume of a prism is provided. All right, so all this, I don't want to go into details, you can go into that. So the first question that Profilan decided to bring on board is a question to do with three-dimensional geometry, and also whereby you are supposed to use Pythagoras theorem. So let us see, in this question we are given a solid whereby we are supposed to calculate the volume of the cuboid. But we know that the volume of a cuboid is going to be cross-section area times length, and we don't have that length. We have the face AHGB, and then we don't have the length BC. So we have to use Pythagoras theorem and in order to work out that, as well as SOHCAHTOA. So I need to draw a line from this point, and also I have a diagonal at this point, meaning this angle that I have here is actually 35 degrees. And I can be able to now say I can extract that triangle, right angle triangle at that point, and put my 4 here, and then I have 35 here. Then I can be able to find now, I'll be able to find what x is using SOHCAHTOA, and that is tan of 35 equals to opposite of adjacent. And if I simplify that, this is going to give me what? Remember, the equation is given, and they are supposed to give correct to 3 significant figures. So that is exactly what we're gonna have at this given point, 5.71. And now we know volume is volume of a cuboid is cross-section area, or times the length, or we can say 4 times 5 times the length BC, but we need to find BC. Remember our BC, because ABC is a right angle triangle, then, and we have the hypotenuse 5.71, we can be able to use Pythagoras theorem at this point, right? So that we can find our BC to be 2.76. Now cross-section area times the length will give us the volume of this solid. Yeah, so that is what we are supposed to give, and we are supposed to transfer that answer here to make the examiner happy. All right, so another concept that you really need to remember is how to work out question to do with indices. And remember, any number raised to 0 is actually 1. So that one you need to remember that. So even if it's 1,000 raised to power 0 is 1, And when you are given indices, question like this, and there is a power outside, that power is going to affect all the terms that are inside there. So meaning 3 is going to be raised to power 3, x squared is going to be raised to power 3, so that is 2 times 3, and y is going to be raised to power 3, since 5y raised to power 5 raised to power 3 is going to be y raised to power 5 times 3, right? So that is going to translate to 27 x power 6 and y raised to power 15. All right, so uh, question to do with factorization also are key. So you can see that here we can be able to factorize 2 out, and we are going to remain with e raised to power 2 minus 9. And this can be factorized because this is a difference of two squares. You need to remember that. So we are going to say this is going to reduce to e raised e minus 3 and e plus 3, and that is our final answer now that was expected. Don't go to that exam if you've not done practice on making subject of the formula. Yeah, it's a trapezium came to your exam dictation. So also they might be tested on how to work uh, the area of a trapezium. That's why I'm making this video, so that they can prepare on that. So should I continue? All right. Okay, so making R the subject of the formula here. We start by getting rid of that square root. So we went to square both sides, and then we put the terms with R on one side, we factor R out. So that's the strategy we're going to use at that given point. So let's see what's going open squaring both sides. We're going to have this, and we're going now, I'm going to multiply by 5r both side also, so that I'm going to get rid of the fraction. So once I have that, remember, if I multiply this and this, we commit suicide, then we are going to have this, and I'm going to pick, because we're making r the subject, I'm going to take those terms with r on one side, so that we can be able to factor it out. Now let's factor r out. If we factor r out, we are going to remain with this, and then now I can divide by, because my objective is to remain with r as on one side and all the terms to be on the other side. So meaning I'm going to divide what's in the fraction in the bracket both sides, so that we can be able to cancel these guys, and our r is going to be that. So we've managed to make r the subject of the formula. Still on indices, if you are given fractional indices like this, you need to remember that every term inside the bracket is going to be raised to by the power that's outside. Don't forget that. And that's going to be 8 raised to power 2 over 3 times e raised to power 15 times this. So meaning that this and this will cancel, and we're going to have e raised to power 10. But when you are having 8 raised to power 2 over 3, this is the same as, this can be written as 8 raised to power third, then 2 is outside. But remember, 8 raised to a third is the same as the cube root of 8. So this is going to reduce to that, because cube root of 8 is 2, then you square that 2, and finally we're going to have our answer 4 e raised to power 10 as our final answer in that case. Wow, still indices. But if you are given now a power which is a negative, it means the negative is going to find the reciprocal of what's inside the bracket. You turn them upside down, but so that you just remain with now a positive, and you raise the power like that, and finally our answer becomes actually 16 of y raised to power 4. But now see the question, give in the form a y raised to power n. We are not having a fraction there, so meaning we have to express in the form the question is expecting us to do. So because if y was a fraction, so if you take it up, you are going to write a negative. All right. Okay. Right. All right. We need to solve now. Suppose you are given a question to do with algebraic fractions like this. What should come to your mind is finding the LCM of the denominator. So the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12, and then we're going to multiply that LCM to all the terms that you're having at that given point. So we are going to multiply the LCM, which is 12, to all the terms that we have. So meaning if we are going to multiply, this is going to reduce to this. Yeah, so if you simplify and put the like terms together, we are going to get and solve for, yeah, so this is going to be 23, and then we take 23 on the other side, so it will be, we just move this and have some space, and then this is going to translate to 95, divide by 15 both sides. Yeah, so we divide by 15, what are we gonna get? We're gonna get nothing other than 19/3 as our final answer. So we're gonna leave it like that, and like that. Okay, so let's still move to the next part and see what we are supposed to do there. Okay, so the next question is where maybe you are given quadratic expressions, and then you are supposed to factorize it. And once you are factorized, you are supposed to use it to solve that quadratic equation. So here we are told that x squared plus 5x minus 24. We are supposed to factorize that. So which will mean that we are going to identify where two numbers whose sum is 5 and two numbers whose product is negative 24. So which are the two numbers? If you add them, you get 5, but if you multiply them, you get negative 24. The two numbers are actually must be 8 and 3, but one must be a negative, and 3 has to be a negative, so that if we add, we're going to get positive 5. So then we're going to express the middle term in terms of the two numbers. So we're going to say x squared minus 3x plus 8x minus 24, and then we group these two together, which will mean we can factor out what is common in the two, and then we're going to pick x plus 8 and then x minus 3, which means this is our final expression. Now, since we are supposed to solve this Roman 2, and yet whatever the equation is given is actually the upper part, so meaning we're going to take this and say is equals to 0. Then we can say now x plus 8 equals to 0, or x minus 3 equals to 0. So this end up be x equals to negative 8, and this becomes x equals to 3. So we end up having this as the two answers. So given question to do with solving quadratic equation by factorization method, these are the easy steps that you are supposed to follow in order to get that mark. So I want you to try this, because we have already done solving algebraic expressions or fractions. I want you to try this and write in the comment section what's your answer for question 5. Just work it out and write in the comment section what is the answer for question 5 quickly, the way we did the previous question. I'm just waiting here so that I can be able to read your comments and see whether you got it right. And also just leave a comment down below. Where are you watching this video from which country, so that I can be able to know whether I'm getting support from various places. So what's the answer for question 5? Waiting. We are also timing. I'm also timing so that I can be able to train you on how to work out questions while considering time, because during exams you are timed. So make sure you take shortest time possible in this question. Yeah, check whether this is what you got. First thing, you are supposed to find the LCM of these two numbers, and the LCM is actually 6 here. We multiply by 6 all through, and then we simplify and try to open the brackets and put the like terms together. Check whether that's what you did, and if you got it right, write in the comment section. Then we shall divide by 14 both sides. If we divide here, we're going to have our x translating to 11/2, which is going to be 5.5. Did you get that right? All right, well done if you did. And if you did not, it's a learning process. All right, so we are supposed to solve the inequality 2y squared minus 7y minus that is less than or equal to 0. So given this question, this is the most easiest question that you'll be ever be given. Don't be scared. I know some of us really get frustrated when it becomes solving quadratic inequalities. Let this video be the last method you'll be taught on how to approach it, and you'll be able to master it. Now follow me through. The first thing that we're going to do, we are going to treat that inequality as an equal sign. We're going to forget about the inequality, we have it, so that we can be able to solve this quadratic equation and get the critical point, the solution of this. So we're going to go ahead and try to work out what is the solution if it was a quadratic equation. So let's proceed. At this point, you can be able to use a quadratic formula in order to work it out. And let us identify our a is 2, our b is -7, and our c is -30. Now, applying a quadratic formula and substituting everything that we are given here and everything that we have, it means we can be able to get the value of y be equal to what? Because you need also to be very careful with the signs, and so that you don't get it wrong. So substituting and getting the first value of y, we can use addition, that will be 6, and using subtraction, we're going to get our answer is -10/4, which is actually going to be -2.5. Okay, now once we have gotten these values, two values, we're going to sketch that graph, just a sketch of that. Since the inequality that were all the quadratic that were given was having a positive value on the coefficient of y squared, it means it's going to open upward. And then we're going to identify this point is -2.5, and the other one is actually 6. But we are told less than 0. So less than 0 is below the x-axis. Less than 0 is below the x-axis. So this is the part we want. So meaning that the values that satisfy the lower part is the values between -2.5 and 6. So we can now be able to say our answer can be written as y is greater than or equal to -2.5 but less than or equal to 6. But in the event this question was having the inequality in the other way around, and you were to sketch that point the way we have done it, then you see now if it's greater than 0, it means we need the upper part of the graph, these upper parts. So meaning in order to write the solution to this kind of inequality given like this, it means that we are going to take these values in the extreme ends. So it will be y is greater than, less than or equal to -2.5, -2.5. Yeah, that should be -2.5, not 2.5. Be very careful. Yes. And this other part should be greater than or equal to 6. Yes, this one that I've written 2 point, it should be negative, so you take note of that. It's only that my pen has just jumped. All right, that was suppose you are given that question, so I've just encapsulated and enclosed in a square. That's an additional information. But for this particular question, we were supposed to write our solution as such, as such. Yes, question number 6. Try it out and write in the comment section if you got it right. And before you do any question, remember you need to know the strategy that you're going to approach in order to work out this question. And for instance, this question, we are given 45x cubed minus 80x over 3x squared plus x minus 4 times 1 over 3x minus 4 plus 1 over x is equals to 4 into brackets x plus 2 over 5x minus 8. So here we are going to first and firstmost things that we're going to do is to factorize where we can be able to factorize. And also if we are having an algebraic fraction, we express them as a single fraction. So we're going to start by factorizing 45x cubed minus 80x. And you see now at that given point, we can be able to see x cubed and 45 minus 80 can be factored out. We can factor out something here. So factorizing this, we are going to factor out 5x. Yeah, if we factor out 5x, we are going to remain 9x squared minus 16. Then you see now inside the bracket we have 9x squared minus 16, which is a difference of two squares, and that's going to factorize to that extent. Then we go to the denominator. Also we are going to factorize this stuff that we're having here. Because we are having 3x squared, there's a coefficient in front of x squared. You are going to multiply that 3 times 4, and that will give you a product. So we are going to have product is negative 12, but the sum is 1. So which are the two numbers, 4 and the negative 3? So we are going now to write the middle term in terms of the two numbers we have gotten. So we shall say 3x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 4. Don't forget and write negative 12 at the end. No, we are using negative 12 to know the two numbers. So that now we can group these two together, and once we have grouped them together, we can factor out what's common, and then we end up having 3x plus 4 into bracket x minus 1 as our factorized form of that part. Now, we inside the second bracket, we have algebraic fractions. Also, we need to work them out, expressing them as a common fraction. Remember, we are going to use the LCM like that, and then multiply this to the other side and this to the other side. And then once we have done that, we're going to simplify what we have so that we can be able to have a single fraction like that. Now, this is exactly what we are going to remain with. And we're going to equate now all these guys together that we have. We're going to equate them and really have the final answer. And the final answer is going to be what? Right, so let me just put this, and I need to move this so that I can have space to write the right hand side. Now you can see we can be able to cancel out this term and this term. We can also see what else can be cancelled. We can cancel this and this because they are the same. You can also see we have the top 3x plus 4, and we have 3x plus 4 below. We can cancel this. Let's see, what else? We can cancel x and x, and we remain with 5 times 4, and that's going to be 20 equal to that part. And then we're going to multiply the denominator both sides, and then we put the like terms together, which will mean that we can now simplify this and end up having our answer of x. Our x is going to translate to 7 over 4. Then we transfer it at this point, and I've given it as a decimal. All right, so that's exactly what you are supposed to do in this particular question. Let's see what else are given. We are supposed to prove that the difference between two consecutive square numbers is always an odd number. Remember, an odd number can be written as 2 times n plus 1. So, all 2 times n minus 1. So, whichever way, let's try to work out this. Now, one of our square number is n squared. The next consecutive one will be rather n plus 1 squared. So if we find the difference of the two, so we are going to square the second one and then subtract the first one. You see this will cancel out. We end up having 2n plus 1. And this is the format of an odd number, right? So which is always odd, so meaning this is the form of odd number. And then now we can even check if you're having 3 is an odd number, right? So if you can be able to express it as what? 2 times 1 plus 1. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. Now this is a question to use cosine rule. We are supposed to calculate the area of the quadrilateral, but we cannot be able to work out the area of this quadrilateral since we don't know what AC is. So for us to find AC, we're going to use cosine rule. And remember, cosine rule is going to be AC squared, 9 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 9 times 12 cos of B, and which is 60. So we are going to put the like terms together at that given point, trying to work it out in order to find AC. Then we're going to find the square root of both sides here, so that we can be able to have it. So my exact form is 3 root 13. And then area, remember area is actually half AB sine theta. That's the formula we're going to use here. So for us to find the first area ABC, we're going to say a half times 9 times 12 sine 60. And this is going to translate to 27 root 3. And area of ACD is going to be a half times AC, and our AC is 3 root 13 times 7 sine 84. And if we work it out, let's see what we're gonna get here. So our calculator, see what we get. 37.6. So to get the area of the quadrilateral, we are going to add the two areas together in order to work to get it. So that is going to translate to, and remember we are giving our answer correct to 3 significant figures, and also our answer becomes 84.4 as our final answer. You'll be given a question to do with upper and the lower bounds. So the most important thing we need to know is how to find the upper bound and the lower bounds. And to do that, you check the accuracy given: correct to 1 significant figure, correct to 2 significant figures, and correct to the nearest 10. But if we are finding the lower bound of P, it means we are going to use the lower bound of A divided by the upper bound of M minus the lower bound of X. So that is exactly what we're going to do, because we are told 1 significant figure. So the least unit here for X is 1. So 1 divided by 2 is going to be 0.5 to get the absolute error. The second one, we are told correct to 2 significant figures, and you can see it's 4.6. So the least unit is actually 0.1. So to get the absolute error is 0.1 divided by 2, so it becomes 0.05. M, correct to the nearest 10. So the least unit is 10. So meaning that we divide that by 2, we get plus or minus 5. So to get the lower bound of A, we are going actually to subtract 0.5, and that's going to be 4.55. Then the upper bound of M, we are going to add 5. Yeah, we're going to add 5, becomes 25, minus the lower bound of X is going to be 8 minus 0.5. So that is going to give us 7.5. So if you work it out, you are going to get your answer, nothing other than 0.26 as our final answer. All right, so we have already done a question to do with making subject of the formula. I'll wish you that. Now moving to question number 10. Question number 10 is about making subject of formula. So for instance, let me just move this a little bit so that you can be able to see exactly what we are talking about. So we are having n squared equals to 4d plus t cubed over t cubed. To make t the subject of the formula, we need to do what? We are going to multiply all three. So let me write this squared here equals to 4d plus t cubed over t cubed So we are going to multiply by t cubed both sides so that we can be able to get rid of this fraction. And I'm going to have t cubed n squared equal to 4d plus t cubed. So meaning that we can be able to make this the subject by making ensuring that those terms with t cubed are on the same side. So we can say this is t cubed n squared minus t cubed equal to 4d, and that's going to be t cubed into n squared minus 1 equals to 4d, and that will mean that we can divide by n squared minus 4 n squared minus, this is n squared minus 1 over n squared minus 1, and that is going to cancel out. Of course, this and this will cancel out. We're gonna have our equation being t cubed equals to 4d over n squared minus 1, and then finding the cube root both sides. We can be able to find cube root here, and we're gonna have our t equal to the cube root of 4d over n squared minus 1 as our final answer in that case. All right, in question number 11, we're told that A, B, C, and D are points on a circle. PCQ is the tangent to the circle, and we're told also that AB equals to CD. Given that angle BCQ is X, we're supposed to prove that CDA equals to 2x. Give reasons for each stage in your working. So in order to work out this, we need to draw this chord here, D to B, and I'm going now to say that this is equal to x because angles in alternate segments are actually equal. So the reason as to why we are saying that is that angles in alternate segments are equal. So I need to take some time so that I can be able to say that these two are equal because angles in alternate segments are equal. So I need also to go straight down so that I can be able to write down here. I should move this so that I can be able to write my steps. Yeah, reason are equal down. Okay, so the next thing that we need to look at, we are going to try to find out what is angle CAB. In order to find angle CAB, I'm going to draw a chord that joins A to C like that. So meaning since this chord subtend angle X, it also subtend angle A at top here. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, all right. All right. Haya, sawa sawa. Thank you, sir. Let me just have it. All right. Yes. Hello. Okay, now once we've identified that, we are going to say angle ACB is going to be angle CAB because this is an isosceles triangle. So base angles are equal. But you need to realize that angle ACQ is going to be 2x because you are going to add x plus x is going to be 2x. So the whole of joining AC first, let us write that. We are going to angles subtended by the same chord. Angle A is x because angles subtended by the same chord are equal. We need also now to okay, angle C is 2x. That the whole of that angle ACQ is 2x because you are going to add the x that is written in white plus the x that was originally there. So we are going also now to say the entire of angle C is going to be equal to angle ADA, CDA, yeah, because this is a CDA equals to 2x because angles in alternate segments are equal, because you can see the all of that is shown there. In question number 12, we are told that the mean number of goals scored by hockey team is in 8 matches is 6. Then you see now, if you are given the mean, if you multiply by the number of matches, you will get the total number of goals that was scored by then, right? So we are told that the team plays two more matches, and scores k goals in each match, and the mean number of the goals scored by the hockey team in the 10 matches is 7. We're supposed to work out the value of k. Okay, so we're going to start this by, let me see what we can start writing by. Yeah, let me just number of goals in 8 matches is going to be 8 times 6, which is 48. Number of goals in the 2 matches is going to be 2k. The 2 matches, because each match was 2k, so each match was k, so the 2 is 2k. Then we're going total goals is going to be equal 48 plus 2k. Yeah, so this is going to be equal to 48 plus 2k. Now, mean equals to total number of goals divided by the number of matches. So this is going to be 48 plus 2k over 10. We can multiply by 10 both sides. Then we're going to have 70 equals to that. To get k, we're going to make k the subject of the formula here, and k is going to be 11. So that is exactly what you are supposed to do in that case. So if a question is asked whereby you are told maybe the student did different tests, and you are given the mean of the test done, and you did another extra test, that's the same approach you are going to use in this particular question. All right, so we need to move further to the next question. Question number 13. Number 13, we are told that the function is such that f of x is equals to 5 plus 6x minus x squared for x less than or equal to 3. We're supposed to express this in the form p minus x minus q squared. So in order to work out this, the first thing that we are going to do here, we are going to factor out something. So this is going to be plus 6x minus that. So we factor out what? We are going to factor out negative 1 so that we can remain with that. Now, whatever that we have in the bracket, we are going to complete the square of that. So to complete the square, remember we're going to take x here minus a half of 6. A half of 6 is minus 3, right? That's going to be squared, then minus the square of 3. Always what we do anytime you are completing a square, the number you are subtracting, even if you have inside a bracket positive, you are always going to subtract. So even if it was x plus 3 squared, you are going to subtract 3 squared. Even if it's like this minus, you are going to subtract. So that's the rule when it comes to completing the square. So we are saying x squared, you just pick x, under negative 6x you pick a half of 6, right? So that you have x minus 3 squared, then you subtract the square of the number that is inside the bracket, which is 3. So always it's subtracted. All right, so we are gonna simplify this, and finally you see if you open the bracket, 9 is going to be positive 9, yes, because inside the bracket was negative 3 squared, which will be negative 9 times the negative that is outside the box bracket there. We're going to get that, and then we shall put the like terms. 5 plus 9 gives us 14 minus that, and exactly that's what we were supposed to have been left with in this particular question. All right, using your answer in part A, find the range of value for which f inverse of x is a positive. So first we need to find the inverse of this function. We're going to say y equals to 4 minus 14 minus x minus 3 squared. So we're going to switch x and y, meaning that where you have x you write y, where you have y you write x, like that. And then we are going to make now y the subject of the formula. Anytime you find a square root of a number, you get either positive or negative. So which will mean that we have positive or negative there, but we are going to take 3 on the other side, and it becomes positive plus or minus 14 minus x, like that. But you need now to write the inverse, but the inverse cannot have two signs. We need to go back and check the domain that was given. The domain was x minus x is less than or equal to 3. So that's the domain, but the range now is going to be, the range of the inverse function is going to be, you change that x to y, so it's y less than or equal to 3. So you can see down here we have 3 plus or minus square root of 14 minus x. So which sign do we decide? Now this point is the one that enables us to decide which sign to use, because our range is y is less than 3. So that will mean that we are going to use minus, because when you subtract, that's when you start be getting negative, less than 3. So that is the inverse function. So once you get that, we can now pick to the next question. Okay, now this is the inverse function, but remember we are told where the inverse function is positive. Remember, the inverse function will be positive if 3 minus root 14 minus x is greater than 0 and x is less than 14. So we need to write that so that we can be able to work it out. For it to be positive, we need to say that this part 3 minus root 14 minus x is going to be greater than 0. So can be able to solve for x like that, and we end up having that. So meaning that our final answer is going to be equal to that x should be greater than 5, less than or equal to 14. Okay, so that is exactly what you are supposed to do in this particular part. And if you are new to Proflan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to upload other tutorials, you'll be notified. In Proflan Academy, we really work matters, math and physics. And as you are going to do your A levels, I'll be with you so that we can be able to walk the journey together. So you have every reason to share and subscribe to this channel, and also recommend it to your friends who can be able to benefit. Right, moving to the next question, and in the next question here, let's see what we are told. We are given a table of values. We're supposed to fill in the cumulative frequency. Remember, for you to complete the cumulative frequency table here, we start with 10, then 10 plus 16 will be 26, right? 26 plus 44 is going to give us what? 70. 70 plus 29 is going to give us 99. Then plus 15 at that given point is going to give us 114. And finally, we get 120. Now, we're going to use this information in order to draw the cumulative frequency curve or graph. And then we are going to use the upper limits of the class. So this point will come here, move up to this point. We move this given point, This one we move up to around 99. 99 is around here. Then 50 we move up to 114, somewhere here, right? And then finally we move up to 120. That is it. And then we can be able to draw a smooth curve like that. And now we have all the points well plotted. Now once you have drawn this graph, it's important for you to realize that you will be given question like finding the median. To find the median, you go to the topmost corner, and in order to find the median, you're going to go to the value at the top. Here we are told to find the interquartile range. I'll let you know what will start. Interquartile range is given by the formula. Interquartile range is equals to the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. And to get the upper quartile, you are going to go to 120, and then if you divide by 2, you get 60. You go where you have 60, you draw a straight line like that, and this is going to give us the median down here. This is the median. Median is given at that point. You read it below. That is around 20 something. Yeah, so the upper quartile is going to be 120 times 3/4 of the total cumulative frequency, and that's going to give us 90. So we're going to check here, and then we read the line below here. So we read this value, and if you can check, this value is approximately 37. Lower quartile is a quarter of 120, so we go where we have that is actually 30 across, and then we check where we have the line, and that is actually 20 what, around approximately 21.5. Then now to get the interquartile range, we're going to subtract the upper quartile and the lower quartile, and that gives us let's see, gives us what, let's see, this is 15.5, or approximately 16. All right, so use your graph to find an estimate of the number of buses that were more than 48 minutes. More than 48 minutes, you go to the x-axis here, you check where 48 is, and then you draw a straight line up to meet the graph. Our graph should go up to meet our graph somewhere here, and then we shall now go across this way, whereby we are going to read this value that is there. So that is this is 112. That is 112 are buses up to 48. So above 48, we say 120 minus 112, and that's going to be 8 buses. 8 buses. So this question must be there. So you need to know how to answer question like that. And then we can now move to question number 15, whereby we are told that the diagram shows a solid cylinder with a radius of 3 meters, and the volume of the cylinder is 72 pi m cubed. We're supposed to calculate the total surface area of the cylinder. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So we need to know the height. First, for us to work out the surface area, we need to know the height. And we know volume is equals to pi r squared h, and we're going to say this is pi times 3 squared times h is equals to 72 pi, and pi will commit suicide. We're going to have our h equal to 8 centimeters like that. Then once we have gotten our value of h to be 8 centimeters, we are going to work out the surface area. All right, let's continue now. Let's continue with our part here. Remember, surface area is the area of all the shaped. Of course, if we cut this into, we open this cylinder, we shall have the top. There are 2 of them, so we're going to say pi r squared times 2, and then the curved part is, this part is going to be the circumference, 2 pi r, and the height is going to be h. So that's why we are having this part here. So if we work it out, we work it out. If we work it out, we work it out. If we substitute and work it out, let's work it out using our calculator. Let's see what we are getting. Yeah, can you enter that and write in the comment section what your answer is down here? That is 66 pi and now we can be able to write it as 207 meter square, because we are supposed to give our answer correct to 3 significant figures, and that is exactly what you are supposed to get. All right, we need to write this down here so that we can be able to make the examiner happy. All right, y is directly proportional to the cube of x. Y equals to 20h when x equals to h. In this, we are given a condition that h cannot be equal to 0. So now find the formula for y in terms of x and h. So first we are told that it's directly proportional. Y is directly proportional. How can we write that? Y is directly proportional. How can we write that? Y equals to kx cubed. If you are told it's directly proportional, you are going to introduce a constant k. But if you are told, and you write it like that, like k times x cubed. But if you are told inversely proportional, it means you were to write y equals to k over x cubed if it was inverse proportion. So in this case, we were to write it like that. And then we are going to substitute what we know, 20h, because y we are told is 20h, equals to k times h cubed. Yeah, so we can be able to divide both sides by h cubed so that we can get the exact value of k. So k is going to be what? If we divide by h cubed both sides, what are we going to get? Let's divide. Our k is going to be 20h over h cubed, and this is going to simplify to 20 over h squared, like that. So this is our constant. Now therefore we can now write the equation with the value of k that we have obtained, which is 20h squared. So y equals to 20 over h squared x cubed. So that is exactly what you are supposed to write at this given point. Then now we move to the second part. Find x in terms of h and y. Find x in terms of h when y equals to 67.5h. So we're going to use the formula that we have obtained in the previous section, 20 over h squared x squared, where you have h, you are going to write 67.5h. So this is going to be, and then 10.5h. We have this, and then we are going to make x the subject of the formula, so we find the cube root both sides. If we find the cube root, I think this is going to simplify to something beautiful, which is going to be 1.5h, and our answer is going to be that. Question number 17 is about geometry, and here we are given two shapes, A and B. We are told that describe fully a single transformation that maps triangle A onto B. A is small, having the same shape. B is large. So if B is the image, it means that's an enlargement. So we can be able to say this is an enlargement. In order to get to describe fully an enlargement, you need to state the center of enlargement, which is here, and also you need to state the enlargement scale factor. So we are going to say this is an enlargement with center of enlargement 30, and enlargement scale factor we can be able to see. Now if you count this height here is two squares, but this one here is 6. So what is multiplied there to get B is times 3. Yeah, so that is going to be enlargement scale factor 3. On the grid above, translate triangle A by a translation vector. So meaning you are going to move on the horizontal direction, you move 4 steps backward, and then you move 3 steps up. You will be here. On this one, we move 4 steps backward, and then 3 steps up. We will be here. On this one also, 4 back, then up. We'll be there. So then we need to join all the points. I remove this so that we can join all the points. All right, so and this becomes our image for that particular case, and that's what you are supposed to get as the image, and we were supposed to label it as C. Question number 8. Question number 18. Question number 18, we are told the straight line L passes through the point 4, -1 and 6, 4. The straight line M is perpendicular to L. So if you are told that M is perpendicular to L, it means that you can be able to use the gradient of M in order to get the gradient of L. And that is that means that m1 times m2 is equals to -1. So we need to make use of that information. So using the gradient of these lines where I've put the white lines, we can be able to get the gradient of L. And we also told that L intersect y-axis at the point 0.08. So once we have the gradient, we can be able to really get that equation. So equation of the formula for a gradient of a straight line is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So meaning this is a 4 minus -1. Be careful with negatives because they can be able to make your life go into the wrong direction, because if you not remember that is 4 minus -1, you're going to get the equation wrong. Then we are going to have this. If we simplify it, we're going to get 5/2 as our gradient, but m1 times m2 is -1. So if we use 5/2 times m2 equals to -1, remember we're going to have our answer as -2/5. This is the gradient of L. But using this point and the gradient, the point 0.08 and the gradient, we can say equation of a straight line is y equals to mx plus c. But in that case, y is actually 8. So, and gradient is -2/5, x is 0. Then we can be able to find the value of c is 8. And then we can therefore say the equation of that straight line is y equals to -2/5, x plus 8. Now, find the coordinate of the point where m intersects the x-axis. What do we know about the x-axis? At the x-axis, y is always equals to 0. Rather, yes, y is equals to 0. At the x-axis, y is 0. So meaning we can be able to use this equation that we have obtained. We can substitute this equation that we have obtained, and then we shall put what? We shall substitute 0 where we have y. At the x-axis, y equals to 0, so we are going to say 0 equals to -2/5 x plus 8. So we can make x the subject because we want to know where x is. That is 20, and that is actually going to be 20, 0. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do in that given point. Now, question to do with graphing inequalities. This is an area also that is very ripe for you to be tested. So we are told on the grid draw the label of on the grid draw the label and on the grid draw and label the straight line with the equation x equals to negative on the grid draw and label the straight line with equation x equals to 1.5. So that is going to be x equals to 1.5 is going to be here. Y equals to x is going to be somewhere here, because if we are saying y equals to x, when you have a coordinate x, y is, if you have a coordinate 1, y is 1. If you have 2, y is 2. If you have 3, y is 3. So that's why we are having that point here. And then x plus y equals to 6. So we are going to use a table of values. We are going to draw just a table here. We write x and y. So when x is 0, y is going to be 6. When y is 0, x is going to be 6. And then we can be able to use that join points like that. So remember, we are supposed to show by shading on the grid the region that satisfies the three inequalities. So I'm going to see the first equation is x is greater than or equal to 1.5. So meaning that here we are going to shade the required region is the region in front. So that's why I've put those marks there so that I can be able to check. At the second part, I'm going to select a point there so that I can be able to try it with this. So that's going to be 2, No, this is 3 is greater than 2, so this region is the required region, and x plus y is greater than 6. So can I check with the substituting? Where I have x I put 2, and where I have y I put 3. I see what I'm getting here. So where that point is actually the required region. So we are going to shade this region inside here, and we can call this region, we can call it beautiful R, beautiful R, beautiful R. Okay. Now, question number 20. A bag contains only red beads and blue beads, green beads and yellow beads. The table gives probabilities that when a bead is taken at random from the bag, the bead will be blue or the bead will be yellow. Now, what you need to remember at this point is that the sum of all probabilities, the sum of all probabilities should be equal to 1. So if we let the red one to be x, then the other one will be 2x, because we are told green is twice the probability of red. Then now, since we know all probabilities add up to 1, we are going to add everything that we have in the table and see that is equals to 1, and then we try to make x the subject and find the exact value of x here. If we divide by 3 both sides, we are going to get 0.15. Now, if we have this, we are told it was she writes down the color of the beads and put the bead back into the bag. She does this for 180 times. So work out an estimate for the number of times the red bead from she takes a red bead from the bag. So which means that here we are going to multiply the value of red, the probability of red, times the number of times it was done. So it should be 0.15 times 180. And actually this is going to give us what? Let me just move this so that we can have enough space. Red beads how many times? 0.15 times 180, which becomes a total of 27. Now, question number 21 is taking you to how to expand and simplify brackets. And of course, this one, an area that you really need to know. We're going to multiply that and that together. And let's see this one and also this together. And then we're gonna have this multiplied, we have that. Then we shall put the like terms together, and finally we shall have 8 minus 2y minus y squared as the final answer. Another area that you need to be very careful and be at the right position to do is factorization of expression like these ones. So here we are going to see what's common. So what's common is actually 5b raised to power 3, and also we have actually c. So what's remaining inside the bracket is that, and we shall have our answer translating into 5b cubed c into bracket 3b minus 7c power 8. Now, okay, we have done much of questions now, and algebra. You need also to understand how to complete a table for you to fill in and draw a graph, and that is why we are having now this one here. So remember, if you are finding the value of y when x is -3, it means we are going to substitute -3 into the expression. You shall say, open the bracket, -3, close the bracket in your calculator, raised to power 2, minus, open the bracket, -3, close the bracket, minus 4. If you are not going to follow instruction of opening and closing the bracket, you may get a wrong answer from the calculator. So at that given point, I believe you've understood exactly what you're supposed to do. And now we can be able to go ahead and do also for -1, which is going to give us -2. For 0 giving us -4. And for 2, if I work it out, I'm getting -2 and 3, 2. And we can now use that information to draw the graph by plotting the points correctly. And I have my point goes down here, comes down here, up here, move up, then I have another point there. You see now it's bringing a shape, huh? And then now we can be able to join the points smoothly like that, and this one goes like that, and then we move up this one, move it a bit, and then we shall have it ending at that point. You see now we have a very beautiful graph, and the examiner will be very happy, and for you earn all the marks for plotting the points nicely and having the correct graph. 4 marks. All right, now proceeding to the next part, we are given a graph. So if you are given a question to sketching this graph, well and good. But if they give you a graph and they tell you to come up with the inequalities that satisfy the equation, then also we should appreciate that fact. So in this question, we're going to learn how do you get the inequalities from a graph that is shaded like that. The region R shown shaded in the diagram is bounded by three straight lines. Write down the three inequalities that define R. So the first thing that you need to know is you need to find the equation of the straight line there. Then the most appropriate inequality is going to be obtained by selecting a point from the shaded region, and then we use it to test that. So the first one we're going to look at, and the easiest one, is the horizontal one. Let's see the horizontal one. The horizontal one here. Yes, this one that runs across, this one is actually y equals to -3. But you see, it's greater than the shaded part is above. So we're going to say y is greater than or equal to -3. Y is greater than or equal to -3. So we can select another point here, 2 points on this line. We say that we are finding the gradient of this line. We can be able to call this point 2, 1, 0 and 2, -1. Then we go ahead and work out the gradient of this line. Gradient is going to be y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Then now once we have this, we are going to get our gradient to be -1. So since this line is passing through a point here, that's the y-intercept. So we can be able to say this equation is y equals to -x plus 1, because c is usually the y-intercept. All right, so we need to know, let's use the point 0, 0 to check which inequality we need here. So I've used the point 0, 0, using the point 0, 0 because it's in the shaded region. Then anywhere we have y, we write 0. Anywhere we have x, we write 0, like that. And then we say plus 1. So let's see, we are having actually 0 dash 1. So is 0 greater than 1 or less than 1? 0 is actually less than 1. So meaning this inequality here, we had gotten it, and this becomes now the inequality less than or equal to -x plus 1. So that is it. Now we need to find also this other one. We need to find the gradient of this. We can select this point and work out the gradient for this line here. Our gradient is going to be that, which translates actually to be 2. Yeah, 2. And since the line passes through that point, so we can say it passes through on the y-axis, so the equation becomes y equals to 2x plus 2. Then using the same point 0, 0, we can be able to test which region we are going to actually use here, and then that translates to be still less than or equal to. So meaning our inequality becomes like that. We can be able to write it down here. Yeah, so exactly that's what you are supposed to do when it comes to using from the graph coming up with the inequality. Now, all right, so we need to change the gear so that we can be able to go ahead. So we are told this is here is the list of giving the numbers of runs scored last week by 11 members of the critic team A. The interquarter range of number of runs scored last week by 11 members of cricket team B was 42. So using the suitable calculation, write down one comparison between the number of runs scored by the members of A and the members of B. We are supposed to show our working. So first we are going to use the information provided here in order to find the interquarter range. So we're going to count like that and check where the median is. Our median is here. So once we know where the median is, because the median separate or group this into two groups, so we are going to get again the interquartile range. So we need the lower quartile. So our lower quartile will be at this point. and the upper quartile will be here. So meaning to get the interquartile range, we are going to subtract the upper quartile minus the lower quartile, which is going to give us 30. So if you see the upper quartile, okay, the interquartile range of team A is 30. The interquartile range of team B is 42. So this means when the interquartile range is smaller, it means that the groups were consistent. Yeah, there's a lot of consistency in the scoring. So we are going to say interquartile range in team A is less than the interquartile range in B, and this means that the runs in team A, the runs scored in team A were more consistent than the runs that were scored in team B. So that is basically what you are supposed to state in that particular question. In question number 25, the function f is such that f of x is 3x squared minus 12x plus 7, where x is less than or equal to 2. And we're supposed to find the inverse function. Remember, we are going to use completing square method in order to find the inverse of this quadratic function. And to do that, we are going to start by changing the function to y and write it the way it is. And then we need to complete the square of this. To complete the square of this, we need to group the first two terms together, and then we factor out what's common, and then we complete the square of what we have there. So we shall write 3 into bracket, 3 is here, then minus x squared minus 4x, close the bracket, plus 7. So inside the bracket, we're going to complete the square. If you're having x squared, you just take x minus. Now you take a half of 4. You don't write x now. A half of 4 is 2, then squared, then subtract the square of that number that is inside there. So that's what I said. Even if you are having a negative or a positive inside that square bracket, you are going to subtract always. Then now we can open the bracket. Remember, 2 squared is actually inside the bracket. It's going to be multiplied by, yeah, so we have 4 here plus 7. So if we open this bracket, we're going to have 3x minus 2 squared, then 3 times negative 4, it will be 12 negative plus 7, and then we can be able to work it out and simplify to y equals to 3 into x minus 2 squared minus 5. So once we have this, we are going to switch x and y. Now switching x and y, we are going to have x into 3 into y minus 2 squared minus 5, and then we make y the subject of the formula. In this case, we are going to, let me look for more space. Let me move this a little bit. All right, so making y the subject, we are going to divide by 3 both sides. Yes, divide by 3, find square root. Here we are going to have plus or minus that, which means that if we take 2 on the other side, we shall have this, which will mean that for us to write the inverse cannot have 2 signs, plus or minus. So we have to decide, are we using minus or are we using add? And to decide that, we need to go to the domain that was given. So from here, we can be able to get the range, and the range of the inverse function is going to be, you change that x to y, y is less than or equal to 2. So we're going to use minus because we want to be less than. So we are going to use minus at that given point, and this finally become our inverse function, like that, like that, like that. If you are new to ProfLearn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime we're going to upload another tutorial, you'll be notified. Moving to question number 26, we are to write down the equation of a line that is parallel to this. So you know that lines that are parallel, they have the same gradient. Lines that are parallel, they have the same gradient. So we are going to write any equation, but ensure that the gradient is -4. So this is exactly what I decide to write at this given point. Should have same gradient, same gradient, same gradient. The line L passes through the points coordinate -3, 1 and 2, -2. Find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to L and passes through the point with the coordinate -6, 4. So we have we need first to understand that if L passes through these particular points, we can be able to use those 2 points to get the gradient, right? So if once we get that gradient, we need to use it. You use that gradient to find the gradient of the other line that passes through negative 4, 6, right? So this is exactly what we're going to do. Just follow through to see the steps that we're going to find. So the gradient of L is going to be m equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can say this is our y2 is negative 2 minus 1, and x2 is 2 minus 3. So be careful of those signs. And now this translates to that. Now, because this L1, this line L is perpendicular to another line that passes through negative 6, 4, so we need to know what's the gradient of that line that passes through negative 6, 4. So since they are perpendicular, we can say m1 times m2 is equals to negative 1 for perpendicular lines. Then meaning that we're using this, we can be able to substitute the gradient that we had obtained from the previous question in order to find the gradient of this line that passes through negative 6, 4. Okay, let's see what we're going to substitute here. Okay, so if we just work it out and try to arrive at the correct answer, we're gonna have what? Okay, now if you simplify this for you to get the gradient of this other line, you are going to realize that we're going to multiply by 5 and divide by negative 3 both sides, and then we end up having actually 5 over 3 as the gradient. And since the equation of a straight line is equals to y equals to mx plus c, it will mean that we are going to anywhere you have y, you are going to write 4. Anywhere you have x, you are going to write negative 6, so that we can be able to find the value of c. So we can be able to substitute that now into the equation, and then we're gonna get the value of c as 14. Because if we take this, we're gonna get 14 is the value of c. Therefore, the equation now becomes y equals to 5 over 3 x plus 14. But if you look in the equation, give your answer in the form ax plus by plus c equals to 0. So meaning we're going to multiply all through by 3, so that we can be able to rearrange this, and finally we can be able to say our equation becomes that, where a, b, and c are integers. So in order to earn all the marks and acquire all the marks, make sure you are giving your answers in the form that is required. Moving to question number 27. Question number 27, we are told that the equation for y, the line L has the equation for y minus 6x equals to 33. Line M goes through the point this and the point this. L is perpendicular to M. So meaning from the first equation L, we are going to write it in the form y equals to mx plus c, so that we can be able to get the gradient of that particular line. So once we have gotten the gradient of that particular line, we can be able to use a and b to get the gradient of this new line. And remember, if they are perpendicular, then it means m1 times m2 is negative 1. And we are going to get the value of x like that. Let's now start working it out after mentioning the strategy that we are going to follow. So using L, we can be able to rearrange it. We rearrange it so that it's in the form y equals to mx plus c, and divide by 4 both sides. So which means that we're going to have our gradient 3 over 2. With this gradient 3 over 2, we are going to say now is equal to negative 1. m1 times m2 is negative 1. So meaning that we can be able to substitute that there, and then we can say now our answer for the gradient is negative 2 over 3. Yes, negative 2 over 3. Then we can now say if we find the gradient using these 2 points, it should be equal to negative 2 over 3. So that is going to be k minus 6 over negative 4 minus 5 equals to negative 2 over 3, like that. And then we cross multiply that way. And finally, we are going to get the value of k as what? Putting the like terms together, this is actually going to be 18 divided by 3, and our k is going to be 12, like that. And then we need to look at question to do with probability. Marcus plays 2 games of tennis. Each game, the probability of Marcus win 0.35. The probability to win. So the probability to lose, does not win, is actually 0.65 because a total probability had up to 1. So it's going to be 0.65 here, 0.35 here, 0.65, 0.35, and then 0.65 at this point. Now, work out the probability that Marcus wins at least one of the 2 games of tennis. So here I have decided at least winning. So meaning that there must be a win. So meaning I decided now to work out losing all the games, and then we say 1 minus probability of losing all the games would give us the answer. So we're going to say at least 1 game. So we're going to say 1 minus probability of losing all the games. So that's going to be 1 minus losing to 0.65 times 0.65. So this is going to be what? If we work it out, your calculator, and 0.5775 as our final answer at that given point. Now, to do with question matters completing the square, already we have done question like that. We are going to factor out what's common, and then we are going to remain with that 10 plus 5. Now we are going now to add this bracket so that we can complete the square in the bracket. So this is going to be 3. Now we shall take x minus a half of 2 is actually 1, then we square that, and then we subtract 1 squared, right? So anytime you are doing this, the number subtracted is the number that is where you have done the square inside the bracket, and then we are going to say plus 5, then open the brackets. We shall have actually 3, because if you square 1 you're going to get 1 times 3, that's why we have minus 3 there, then plus 5, and finally our answer becomes that, and that's exactly what we are supposed to. In question number 30, can you try to work out this question and find the range of possible values of it, and write in the comment section whether you got the answer you're gonna get, then you compare with what we are going to have here. All right, just go ahead and try to work it out. All right, I believe you are really following through how to work out that question. All right, so the first thing that we need to remember, area of a rectangle is length times width. So we're going to say is less than 75. And then if we open and expand this, we are going to form a quadratic equation, which is going to be a quadratic inequality like this. So we are going to solve this. If you solve this quadratic inequality, we are going to assume that that inequality is actually an equal sign. We treat it as an equal sign so that we can be able to solve that quadratic equation. And getting the critical values, I'm getting 1, or you get x to be 6. Now, once you have gotten this, you are going to draw this graph to represent the quadratic equation that we are having here. Since the coefficient of x squared is positive, the graph is going to open upward, and that will mean that the point where this graph is going to cut the x-axis is going to be this point, which is actually 1, and this other point, which is actually 6. Now, since our inequality is less than 0, so meaning we require the region below the x-axis. less than 0, we need this region below here. So the values of x that defines that region is actually values x greater than 1 or less than 6. So that is exactly what you're supposed to do when you're given a question like this. And if you're given a question like number 31, whereby you are told that the line with the equation x plus 2y equal to 5 intersects the curve equation x squared plus 3y squared equals 13 at the point A and B. Find the coordinate of A and B. So meaning these are actually simultaneous equations involving a linear and a quadratic equation. So that one you're going to equate. You are going to equate them. You're going to equate them here. So if you equate it, you are going to make x the subject at this given point. You take y on the other side, and then we're going to have this one here. Then where you have x in the equation, you substitute 5 minus 2y. We are going to expand that and put the like terms together. Of course, now that is going to simplify and become a quadratic equation. Now with this quadratic equation, we can be able to solve it using maybe a quadratic formula, in this case for simplicity, and then try to substitute the values of a, b, and c like that. You can see now we are going to get the value of y be equal to 2 and y equals to 6 over 7. So we can be able to write them here. Yeah. Then we go back to x. We can be able to substitute the values we have into that equation, x equals to 5 minus 2y. So which will mean that we have our x1. We do the same thing with this other value. Yeah. So which means that we can be able to say our value is 23 over 7 at that point. This question to do with yeah, so you can be able to move a little bit, just go back. Yeah, you can be able to list the members of the sets that we are having here. You list the members because this is sets given in descriptive manner. You can be able to list all the members and then you start answering those particular questions. So list of members, write down the number. That NA means number of elements in set A. We count the number of elements that are here. So we are going to count and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Part B, you are supposed to list the members of set A union B not. Here we want members A, we need to list members of A union B. So meaning that complement A union B. So when you combine the two sets, which elements are outside that union set? And then that is exactly what we are going to have in this case. And we're talking of the intersection, not in A intersection B is going to be these values that we have here. In C, in D, we are told that C is a member, rather C is a subset of A and C is a subset of B. And N, C has number of element 5 elements and C has 5 elements. List the members of C. Yeah. In question number 3, we are told that here are the first 4 terms of an arithmetic sequence, 38, 31, 24, 17. So we can be able to note that this is a decreasing sequence. So nth term is usually given by this formula. So we need to know what's the common difference. The common difference is going actually to be equal to -7. Because if you take 31 minus 38, -7, 24 minus 31, -7, or 17 minus 24 is going to give you -7. Now, since the first term is 38, we can be able to find the nth term using this, substituting and then opening the bracket, putting the like terms together, which is going to give us nth term as 45 minus 7 and like that. And we're going to transfer it at this given point. So here we are told the first 4 terms of an arithmetic series is k, 3k over 4, k over 2, and k over 4. So meaning we can be able to get the common difference, and the common difference is going to be the number in front minus the number before. So 3 over 4k minus k is going to give us this as our common difference. So using this common difference, we can be able to use this information here. You are told that given that the 15th term of the series is this, so meaning we can say the 15th term is this k plus n minus 1. Our n is 15 minus 1 times the common difference. And if we work it out and substitute everything that we have, our k is going to simplify to negative 20. Now we are told calculate the sum of the first 30 terms of the series, which will mean that we are going to substitute this into the sum formula as n equals to n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into d, and you see 2 times a. Our a is the first term, which is k, and we had gotten it at this given point. So the common difference is going to be what? The common difference is going to be, if we multiply, let's see, the common difference is negative 20, and we had gotten the common difference here as that is going to be, yeah, the common difference is going to be 5, because if you take negative 1 over 4 times negative 20, you are going to get 5. So if you work it out, you are going to get your final answer as 1575. Triangles are similar, so we are supposed to work out AB. Now, in order to work out AB, I can call it x. I can call this x, so I can be able to say 45 over 20. Okay, I can say 45 over 20. From the first triangle, I'm using the corresponding sides. 45 over 20 is equals to x over 36. So if you work it out, you get your answer being equivalent to 81. And we're supposed to find EF. We can call it Y. So we can be able to say, because you are told that BC is 54, so we can say 20 over 45 equals to y over 54. So we can multiply 54 both sides, and if we work it out, we're going to get our answer as 24, like that. Question to do with trigonometry and using SOHCAHTOA are kind of candidates to be asked in your exam. So we are going to use this part. This part is actually 9.3. We can call this h, and this is adjacent. So we can use cos 38 equals to adjacent of hypotenuse, and then we can be able to make h the subject of the formula and put this in a calculator. Let's see what we're gonna get. This is going to give us 11.8. So this is 11.8 and this is 11.8. Then once we have this, we can be able to go ahead, add together in order to get the perimeter of the shape. 42.2. Solve the simultaneous equation. Of course, we need to use elimination method at this given point, and we can try to make one of the two equations, 1x, to be the same, and this is going to be 6x plus 3y equals to 3.75 at such point, and then we can be able to subtract the two equations in order to solve. Then we divide by 7 both sides. This is going to give us 0.35, and we can be able to write it at this given point. Then substituting 0.35 in one of the equation, we can be able to find the value of y, and if we work it out and then divide by 3, we are going to get the value of x is 0.45 and 0.35 as the value of y. Solving those equations that involve simultaneous equation, which involve linear and quadratic, we are going to work it here and substituting what we have there. See, now we were given y equals to 3 minus 2x, so we substitute, anyway we have y, we substitute 3 minus 2x into the second equation, so which will mean that we can be able to work it out, and then we are going to have a quadratic equation in terms of x, which we are going to solve in using maybe factorization, completed square method, or a quadratic formula in order to get. So if you solve 5x squared minus 12x minus 9 equals to 0, you are going to get x equals to 3 or x equals to negative 3 over 5. Then now you can be able to use the first equation y equals to that in order to get the values of y. And the first value of y is negative 3. So you can say this is this. And x equals negative 0.6. We substitute also. We are going to get the second value of y like that. Like that. Now here is also SOHCAHTOA. Of course, we are going to use hypotenuse and opposite. So this is going to be h equals to 6.5 over sine 42. If we work it out, let us see what we are getting. We are getting 9.7. Solving quadratic inequalities. Already we have done this. These questions we have done them. Yeah, I would like you to attempt them and okay. Yeah. Okay, this one we are told that write down the coordinate of the maximum point. Remember the maximum point here is 4, 6. But if you are told f of x plus 4, when you are having a transformation inside the bracket, it means it's going to affect only the x values. The y values are going to remain the way they are. So meaning the coordinate 6 is going to remain the way it is. But if the transformation is taking place inside a bracket, it means you are going to do the opposite of what the transformation says. The transformation in Roman 1 says x plus 4. So meaning we are going to do x minus 4. Our x is 4 minus 4, we're going to get 0. But in the second Roman 2 is y equals to 2x. So which means we are going to say 2 divided by. So we are going to say 4 divided by 2, which is going to be 2, because in this you are doing the opposite says. The equation of the curve C is y equals to x squared plus 3x plus 4, and the curve C is transformed to the curve S under the translation 4, 6. So the transformation is going to 4 is going to affect the y, the x-axis, and 6 is going to affect the y coordinate. 4 is going to affect the x coordinate, and 6 is going to affect the y coordinate. So meaning that if it's plus 4, we are going to do the opposite when we are going to write that equation. So it will be x minus 4 on y. So inside the bracket, we're going to say equals to x minus 4 squared plus 3 into x minus 4. And outside, we're going to say plus 4, then plus 6. So that is what we are supposed to have as the final answer for this particular part. Now, if you are given question to do with geometry and you are supposed to do reflection, of course, we are going to draw. Yeah, let me just move this. Let me take this opportunity to wish you the best of luck in your coming exam. And if you are new to Prof Learning YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime we're going to upload further tutorials, you'll be notified. All right, so if you're given a question to do with inequality like this, you are going to treat that inequality as an equal sign. So we shall start by taking 5 on the other side of the equal sign, which will mean that we are going to mean with 4y, and then we can divide by 4 both sides, and the answer becomes what? That. We can leave it as a fraction like that. And here we're going to multiply all through by 2 so that we can be able to get rid of the fraction. Open the bracket, pull the like terms together, and then we can now solve for x. Divide by 8, and that becomes our answer like that. So question like this is a simple algebraic equations. You need to really know what you're supposed to do in that. Now, question to do with surds. Are you happy with surds or you are sad with surds? So if you are sad with surds, we need to go step by step so that you can be able to see what you are supposed to do when you are rationalizing the denominator and give it in the form a plus root a. Now, remember we are having this side expression like this. We are going to multiply by the conjugate. The conjugate is going to be root 3 plus 1 plus 1. That's multiplied to the numerator and denominator like that. So we are going to distribute this number multiplied to every term that is in the bracket. And also this one we're going to have it like that. And then we open the bracket. The first one is going to give us, because root 3 times root 3 is root 9. Root 9 is 3. 3 times 2 is going to give us 6. And then the second term is going to be 2 root 3. But if we multiply root 3 times root 3, it will be root 9. Root 9 is 3. Then root 3 times 1 will be root 3. And minus 1 times root 3 is going to be minus root 3. Minus 1 times 1 is going to be negative 1. So we can see these guys here are going to cancel out and we end up having 2 like that. So if we divide by 2 to every term, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we end up having root 3 like that. And that is exactly the form that was required in that particular question. All right, so to reflect this on the line y equals to x equals, we are going to draw that, and then we are going to use a set square and then measure the distances from where the image is such that the line is perpendicular. So it should be on, the image should be on the other side of the line, and this one we draw, it should be the same distance from where the line is, line of reflection, to where the point is on the opposite side. So we are going to have the first point here, we move on the opposite side on that side. So we are going to have our image point like that. You can be able to do it, download this paper so that you can be able to do it and reflect it. Check if you can be able to get that same shape that I've obtained. So if I join all the points, I'm getting that finally my shape is going to look like this, and I will have it here and I call it what? So shape T. So that is it. That's what you're supposed to do. Now next we're going to find the center of enlargement here. That's the center of enlargement. And what is the enlargement scale factor? Enlargement scale factor is actually 3 as well. Of course, you can check how many boxes do we have here? 2. How many do we have here? 6. So which number have you multiplied to get 6? From 2 is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So meaning the enlargement scale factor is times 3. Now to do with vectors, this is a question to do with vectors, and here we are told that is a quadrilateral. We are supposed to find OC. Now to find OC, remember OC will be OB plus BC, and then if we put the like terms together, we're going to say this for B plus 2A minus 2B, and then we're going to put the like terms together. We end up having our answer as that. All right. In question 45, we're given that and we are told that OACB is a quadrilateral whereby OA equals to vector 3A, OB equals to vector 4B, BC equal to vector 2A minus 2B. We're supposed to find the factors OC in terms of A and B, and we're supposed to simplify our answer. So let me just take you through what we were supposed to do. In the event you are given a question to do with vectors, so since we are finding OC, you need to realize that we're moving from O to C. So there are different routes we are going to use. And the routes you are going to use are the one that I provided in terms of A and vector B. So meaning we are going to use the route OB, then BC, but OB is for vector B, and BC is 2A minus 2B. So meaning that we're going to move from OC. In order to reach OC, we're going to go OB plus BC. That's going to 4B plus 2 vector A minus 2B. And simplifying this translate to this beautiful answer, which is 2A plus vector 2B. So that is what you are supposed to give in the simplified mode. Let's move down. We're supposed to find vector AB in terms of vector AB, right? So meaning that for you to move from A to B, that's why I've indicated this arrow. You are going to move from A, the starting point is A, and the terminal end is actually this B that we have here. So meaning we're going to move against the arrow, the original arrow that was given. So we're going to go that direction. So we're going to assign this to be negative 3A. Then we add OB, which is 4B. So this is going to be AB is going to be this AO plus OB, but AO is negative of OA. And then we're going to substitute the values and we're going to end up with this part that we are having here. Now, you are supposed to use vector method to find AB, AP. That's an international crisis. All right, AP ratio PB. So meaning that we are finding, or in order to do that, we are going to express OP in two different forms. We are going to form OB in two different ways. Remember, to find OP, you can use, I decided to say, let N be a constant divides OC, and also K divides AB. So meaning that we are going to express OP in two different ways. So one of the way is of OP is N of OC. There is a number you can multiply to OC in order to get OP. So that is why I've written this step here. So meaning that if you go down and simplify this, because we know OC already we had gotten OC somewhere here, right? Let's see, there's somewhere we had gotten OC. OC is here. So meaning that if we multiply this by N, that is going to give us our OP. So that simplified and gave us the first equation. So we are going to have the first equation. Another route you can use to reach OP from O to stop at P, you can use the route OA, then OP. But remember, OP is going to be K of AB. So that is why I've written this step here. And if you substitute and simplify, you're going to get equation 2, which is this. And because I've factored out A, so that I remain with 3 minus 3K plus 4KB. Yeah. Now, since both of these two vectors OP, equation 1 and equation 2 are representing OP, then I now have all the rights reserved for us to equate to the two, and this is going to enable us find the constants K and N and K. So if we equate equation 1 and equation 2, we are going to form simultaneous equations, which are going to enable us solve that. Now, once we have done that, remember, if we equate it, something that is very important also to remember is that the first term was having 2NA. You can equate to this part here and form the first another equation. You can equate 2na, because both of them are having, they are having a. Those terms that are having a are the one that you are going to equate. And we have this equation which simplify, which you can simplify, and I decided no, I'll have to leave it as 2n equals to 3 minus 3k. The second equation is going to come from where I've placed these rectangles, because both of them have b, so that we can have another equation which is 2n equals to 4k, because b and b is going to commit suicide, and then we're going to remain with 2n equals to 4k. So that's why you see I left 2n here, because I can see there is 2n here. Then I can be able to equate the two, because 2n is actually equal to 3 minus 3k, or 2n equals to 4k. So you can say 4k, because 4k represent 2n, is equal to this part. So meaning I'm just replacing this with 4k so that I can be able to solve and get my value. My value of k is actually 3/7. Now, since I know what's another equation I can be able to replace with in order to find n, because from here, if we divide by 2 both sides, we're going to have n equals to 2k, but our k is this, then we have all the rights to say we can substitute the value of k here, and we end up having 6/7. Now, let's go back to the diagram, because we were told to find AP ratio PB is AP ratio PB. So meaning we are going to use the value of k that we have gotten, and our value of k is 6. Let me see. Our value of k, our value of k, no, yeah, our value of k is 3/7. So meaning this part is 3/7, this part is 4/7, right? So meaning our ratio ends up to be 3/4. Yes, that's what you are supposed to do in that case. So another area that we need also to look at is question number 45. This is a concept dealing with Venn diagrams. We are told that 30 children were asked whether they have cats or a dog. Of the 30, we are told that 5 have both cats and a dog. So meaning that they are going to be in this region here. They are going to be in this region here, the region of intersection, right? So that is where they are gonna be. So 13 have a dog. So meaning if we are saying 13 have a dog, and already we have taken 5 here, it means on this other end we have 8. So that if you add for the dog, you're gonna have 13. 11 have only a cat, so this one was to go here. And since we were told that 30 children, so we can add this and subtract from 30 and know those who did not really say whether they have a dog or a cat. So then you would expect to answer question to do with probability from Venn diagrams. Suppose you are given a question like that, and you are told find the probability that that child has a dog. So you are going to go in this region where I've just drawn straight lines, add them, and you get 13/30. And does not have a dog, it means that we are going to does not have a dog or a cat is going to be this group that is outside here, and that's going to be 6/30. So another part that you are also going to maybe is quite important at the imperative that we have to look at it is whereby you are given two vectors. For instance, we have AB is the column vector here, and CB is a column vector here. And then I decided now to throw, I decided to throw triangle ABC here so that we can be able to use it and then answer this question. So you see, we were told that AB is 6, -9, so I decided to put it here. And we have CB, and I indicated the arrow the way it was given. But since we are finding the magnitude of AC, it will mean that we are going to use the root A to C. We're going to use the root of A to B, then B to C. So we're going to go against this root here. So which will mean that we can put a negative sign outside here and then simplify. Then the magnitude or the distance between two magnitude of a vector, we are going to use the formula. We use the formula. Remember, when you're finding a magnitude of vector, if you're having a vector x, y, if this is a vector AB is a vector xy like that, then the magnitude of this, the length of AB vector, we are going to call it magnitude of AB is going to be actually square root of x squared plus y squared. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. And I need also to mention that suppose in the event in that question you are given now coordinate form, not in vector form. This one you use vector form or a column form. But in the event you are given a coordinate x1, y1, and B is another point. Let me just write B is x2, y2, and then suppose you are told to find the distance between these two vectors, because in this case we're just trying to learn and see if a question is asked, how are you going to approach it. So suppose you are to find the distance between these vectors, you are going to now say this is going to be x2 minus x1, we square that, plus y2 minus y1 squared, and you are done. That's what you do. You take one of the coordinates, subtract for x and y, and then square them. And actually this is Pythagoras theorem. If you are very keen, this is Pythagoras theorem that is being applied at this given point. So whatever that we have done at this given point is actually not related. This is points to note, NB. So it's not related to this question. Is some points, important points to note. I also need to highlight this and keep it somewhere safe. Yeah, so these are just points to note. Okay. Right, so the next question, 48, which is our last question, is that we are told OAB is a triangle. OA equals to vector A, OB equals to vector B. And then we're told that C lies on OA such that OC ratio CA equals to 1:2, and the point lies on point D lies on OB such that OD ratio DB is 1:2. Using vector method, prove that ABCD is a trapezium. And something that you need to remember is that a trapezium has two parallel sides. So in this particular question, we are supposed to prove, this is the strategy that we're going to use. We are supposed to prove that AC is a trapezium. In order to prove that, that is a trapezium, we need to show that AB and CD are parallel. So because you see, I've already drawn the triangle. I've indicated the ratio in which OA is divided by C and OB is divided by D. Then I have this point. So if I draw this straight line, I can now say if we manage to prove that CD and AB are parallel, then it means that we have confirmed that is a trapezium. And how will you be able to prove that they are parallel? You need to find what CD is and you find what AB is, then you check whether they are multiple of each other. So for instance, let us find AB. To find AB, we are going to move from you move from AB. Remember, we are finding AB. We are going to move AO, right? We are going to go against the arrow, then we move to OB, and that is going to translate to B minus A. And also we need to find CD, but remember, CD, we need to move from C to O, then from O to D. But from C to O is a third of OA, and then we have a negative sign because we are going against the original arrow, and that translates to this. And then if I factor third out, I'm going to remain with B minus A inside the bracket. But what is B minus A? B minus A is AB. So I can be able to write CD in terms of AB and say CD is a third of AB. And now, since these are multiples, CD is a multiple of A, then we can say AB and CD are parallel, and therefore ABDZ is a trapezium. That up to that point, I'll need to say that I really wish you the best of luck in your exam. And don't forget to subscribe to Proflan YouTube channel, because once you are done with your IGCSE, you are going to join A levels, and Proflan will walk with you the journey of A level. See you in the next video. Don't forget to share this video to all your friends, and also share them in your social media platforms. I wish you the best of luck in your exam. See you. In question 45, we're given that, and we are told that OACB is a quadrilateral whereby OA equals to vector 3A, OB equals to vector 4B, BC equal to vector 2A minus 2B. We're supposed to find the factors OC in terms of A and B, and we're supposed to simplify our answer. So let me just take you through what we were supposed to do. In the event you are given a question to do with vectors, so since we're finding OC, you need to realize that we're moving from O to C. So there are different routes we are going to use, and the routes you are going to use are the one that I provided in terms of A and vector B. So meaning we are going to use the route OB, then BC, but OB is for vector B, and BC is 2A minus 2B. So meaning that we're going to move from OC. In order to reach OC, we're going to go OB plus BC. That's going to 4B plus 2 vector A minus 2B. And simplifying this translate to this beautiful answer, which is 2A plus vector 2B. So that is what you are supposed to give in the simplified mode. Let's move down. We're supposed to find vector AB in terms of vector AB, right? So meaning that for you to move from A to B, that's why I've indicated this arrow. You are going to move from A, the starting point is A, and the terminal end is actually this B that we have here. So meaning we're going to move against the arrow, the original arrow that was given. So we're going to go that direction. So we're going to assign this to be negative 3A. Then we add OB, which is 4B. So this is going to be AB is going to be this AO plus OB, but AO is negative of OA, and then we're going to substitute the values, and we're going to end up with this part that we are having here. Now, you are supposed to use vector method to find AB, AP. That's an international crisis. All right, AP ratio PB. So meaning that we are finding, or in order to do that, we are going to express OP in two different forms. We are going to form OB in two different ways. Remember, to find OP, you can use, I decided to say, let N be a constant divides OC, and also K divides AB. So meaning that we are going to express OP in two different ways. So one of the way is of OP is N of OC. There is a number you can multiply to OC in order to get OP. So that is why I've written this step here. So meaning that if you go down and simplify this, because we know OC already, we had gotten OC somewhere here, right? Let's see, there's somewhere we had gotten OC. OC is here. So meaning that if we multiply this by N, that is going to give us our OP. So that simplified and gave us the first equation. So we are going to have the first equation. Another route you can use to reach OP from O to stop at P, you can use the route OA, then OP. But remember, OP is going to be K of AB. So that is why I've written this step here. And if you substitute and simplify, you're going to get equation 2, which is this. And because I've factored out A, so that I remain with 3 minus 3K plus 4KB. Yeah. Now, since both of these two vectors OP, equation 1 and equation 2 are representing OP, then I now have all the rights reserved for us to equate to the two, and this is going to enable us find the constants K and N and K. So if we equate equation 1 and equation 2, we are going to form simultaneous equations, which are going to enable us solve that. Now, once we have done that, remember, if we equate it, something that is very important also to remember is that the first term was having 2NA, you can equate to this part here and form the first another equation. You can equate 2NA because both of them are having, they are having A. Those terms that are having A are the one that you are going to equate. And we have this equation which you can simplify, and I decided no, I'll have to leave it as 2n equals to 3 minus 3k. The second equation is going to come from where I've placed these rectangles, because both of them have B, so that we can have another equation which is 2n equals to 4k, because B and B is going to commit suicide, and then we're going to remain with 2n equals to 4k. So that's why you see I left 2n here, because I can see there is 2n here. Then I can be able to equate the two, because 2n is actually equal to 3 minus 3k, or 2n equals to 4k. So you can say 4k, because 4k represent 2n, is equal to this part. So meaning I'm just replacing this with 4k so that I can be able to solve and get my value. My value of k is actually 3/7. Now, since I know what's another equation I can be able to replace with in order to find n, because from here, if we divide by 2 both sides, we're going to have n equals to 2k, but our k is this, then we have all the rights to say we can substitute the value of k here, and we end up having 6/7. Now, let's go back to the diagram, because we were told to find AP ratio PB is AP ratio PB. So meaning we are going to use the value of k that we have gotten, and our value of k is 6. Let me see. Our value of k, our value of k is 3/7. So meaning this part is 3/7, this part is 4/7, right? So meaning our ratio ends up to be 3/4. Yes, that's what you are supposed to do in that case. So another area that we need also to look at is question number 45. This is a concept dealing with Venn diagrams. We are told that 30 children were asked whether they have cats or a dog. Of the 30, we are told that 5 have both cats and a dog. So meaning that they are going to be in this region here. They are going to be in this region here, the region of intersection, right? So that is where they are gonna be. So 13 have a dog. So meaning if we are saying 13 have a dog, and already we have taken 5 here, it means on this other end we have 8. So that if you add for the dog, you're gonna have 13. 11 have only a cat, so this one was to go here. And since we were told that 30 children, so we can add this and subtract from 30 and know those who did not really say whether they have a dog or a cat. So then you would expect to answer question to do with probability from Venn diagrams. Suppose you are given a question like that, and you are told find the probability that that child has a dog. So you are going to go in this region where I've just drawn straight lines, add them, and you get 13/30. And does not have a dog, it means that we are going to does not have a dog or a cat, is going to be this group that is outside here, and that's going to be 6 over 30. So another part that you are also going to maybe is quite important at the imperative that we have to look at it is whereby you are given two vectors. For instance, we have AB is the column vector here, and CB is a column vector here. And then I decided now to throw, I decided to throw triangle ABC here so that we can be able to use it and then as a discussion. So you see, we were told that AB is 6, -9, so I decided to put it here. And we have CB, and I indicated the arrow the way it was given. But since we are finding the magnitude of AC, it will mean that we are going to use the root A to C. We're going to use the root of A to B, then B to C. So we are going to go against this root here. So which will mean that we can put a negative sign outside here and then simplify. Then the magnitude or the distance between two magnitude of a vector, we are going to use the formula. We use the formula. Remember, when you're finding a magnitude of vector, if you're having a vector x, y, if this is a vector AB is a vector x, y, like that, then the magnitude of this, the length of AB vector, we are going to call it magnitude of AB is going to be actually square root of x squared plus y squared. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. And I need also to mention that suppose in the event in that question you are given now coordinate form, not in vector form. This one you use vector form or a column form. But in the event you are given a coordinate x1, y1, and B is another point. Let me just write B is x2, y2. And then suppose you are told to find the distance between these two vectors, because in this case we're just trying to learn and see if a question is asked, how are you going to approach it? So suppose you are to find the distance between these vectors, you are going to now say this is going to be x2 minus x1, we square that, plus y2 minus y1 squared, and you are done. That's what you do. You take one of the coordinates, subtract for x and y, and then square them. And actually this is Pythagoras theorem. If you are very, very keen, this is Pythagoras theorem that is being applied at this given point. So whatever that we have done at this given point is actually not related. This is points to note, NB. So it's not related to this question. Is some points, important points to note. I also need to highlight this and keep it somewhere safe. Yeah, so these are just points to note. Okay. Right, so the next question, 48, which is our last question, is that we are told OAB is a triangle. OA equals to vector A, OB equals to vector B. And then we're told that C lies on OA such that OC ratio CA equals to 1:2, and the point point D lies on OB such that OD ratio DB is 1:2. Using vector method, prove that ABCD is a trapezium. And something that you need to remember is that a trapezium has two parallel sides. So in this particular question, we are supposed to prove, this is the strategy that we're going to use. We are supposed to prove that AC is a trapezium. In order to prove this, that is a trapezium, we need to show that AB and CD are parallel. So because you see, I've already drawn the triangle. I've indicated the ratio in which OA is divided by C and OB is divided by D. Then I have this point. So if I draw this straight line, I can now say if we manage to prove that CD and AB are parallel, then it means that we have confirmed that that is a trapezium. And how will you be able to prove that they are parallel, you need to find what CD is and you find what AB is. Then you check whether they are multiple of each other. So for instance, let us find AB. To find AB, we are going to move from actually you move from AB. Remember, we are finding AB. We are going to move AO, right? We are going to go against the arrow, then we move to OB, and that is going to translate to B minus A. And also we need to find CD, but remember CD, we need to move from C to O, then from O to D. But from C to O is a third of OA, and then we have a negative sign because we are going against the original arrow, and that translates to this. And then if I factor third out, I'm going to remain with B minus A inside the bracket. But what is B minus A? B minus A is AB. So I can be able to write CD in terms of AB and say CD is a third of AB. And now, since these are multiples, CD is a multiple of A, then we can say AB and CD are parallel, and therefore ABDZ is a trapezium. That up to that point, I'll need to say that I really wish you the best of luck in your exam. And don't forget to subscribe to Proflan YouTube channel, because once you are done with your IGCSE, you are going to join A levels, and Proflan will walk with you the journey of A level. See you in the next video. Don't forget to share this video to all your friends, and also share them in your social media platforms. I wish you the best of luck in your exam. See you.